Hi, everyone. My next guest is Oceana Ling-Kurie, who is Miss International Taiwan 2024. She was born and raised in the United States to a Caucasian father and Taiwanese mother. Her multiracial and multicultural background has played a significant role in shaping her identity. While she grew up as an average kid without a strong focus on academics, sports, or the arts, her move to Taiwan at the age of 9 transformed her path, where she discovered a passion for both academics and the arts. A graduate of the University of Toronto, ranked among the top 20 universities in the world, Oceana is now pursuing a master's degree in performing arts. Alongside her studies, she works as a model, actress, and educator in Taiwan. Well, Oceana, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. And hello, Adrian. It's such an honor to be here and finally talk to you.
Yeah, I feel like we've had this set up for a while. I've definitely been looking forward to it. The main reason, completely biased, is I really haven't interviewed that many Asian pageant contestants, which might sound a little bit weird, but maybe something that we can dig into later is, I know that obviously from, your bio, there's 3 countries in there already. So multicultural and multiracial, we've got that covered. But it was weird because I was born in Australia. Both my parents are Chinese from Hong Kong. Yeah. But I always felt a little bit out of place growing up here in Australia because I'm not really Australian, but then I'm not really Chinese. So maybe we can dig into that a little bit later. But why don't we start with the easy question? Why don't you bring us up to speed with how everything has been going, pageant prep, and otherwise? I know that you said you're going through a bit of a manic time at the moment. So how has life been?
Okay, yeah. So, currently I'm in the middle of a move. I'm just moving from one apartment to another, so it's been chaotic. But I'm getting through it. My mom's helping me with this process, so it's definitely been a bit chaotic, but I'm dealing with it. I'm living. I'm okay. So other than the move, I'm working on a lot of my outfits. I'm preparing my wardrobe for the 2.5 weeks. So that's what I'm busy with. I'm also kind of just busy with like maintaining my mental health and physical health, eating well, going to the gym regularly. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with this upcoming last 3 weeks. Oh God.
She says as she reminds herself as to how long she's got left.
I know.
When are you actually, sorry to bring this traumatic experience back up, when are you actually leaving for Japan?
So I'm leaving October 28th, and then I'll be staying one night there, just kind of calm down a bit, get used to it, and then we'll meet up at the airport October 29th.
Right. Okay. So literally 3 weeks to the date. I have moved a couple of times, and I've said that moving is my least favorite activity in the world. You got to take your entire life, put it into boxes, move them somewhere, then take your entire life out of boxes, which sometimes takes longer than putting your life into boxes. Exactly. Is it as bad as I remember, or has it gotten more fun?
No, it's never fun. I mean, how could it ever be fun? No, it's extremely stressful, honestly, like putting everything in. I use luggages because I've moved internationally several times, so I'm used to putting things in luggages. It's extremely stressful. And you know what? The point you said about it takes longer to take things out, that is so true. Because I remember when I moved to Canada for university, because I lived there for 3 years, and by the time I left Canada, I still had luggages that I never unpacked. So yeah,
I was going to say, I knew where that story was going. I don't know, like I've moved several times, and I think I'm now at the point where I just go, I'm only going to pack the bare essentials, because I would normally like over prepare. I'd want to be ready for everything, but experience has taught me, I'd take my violin over when I was in the America last. Like, I don't really need to take my violin over. It's not that important that I practice for the 3 weeks I was over there. But this is not ideal timing, Oceana, if you're doing a move right before you got to prep, right in the middle of preparing for a giant international pageant. I mean, did you organize it like this?
I mean, I can't really help it because the building that I currently live in is going under construction, so I can't really do anything about that.
That's fair enough. You can't really lodge a protest and just stay there. Um, how is all the prep going for Miss International? Obviously, you've got the move going on, and you've got a bunch of other things going on. But is everything sort of on track and under control?
I would say at this point it's kind of on track. It's been very stressful because Taiwan's not a very big pageant place. Like we don't have like a big pageant industry. So a lot of the outfits I kind of have to look for and prepare myself. And sometimes I have to like add certain like maybe gems or anything hand sewn by myself. So it's been a big process with a lot of stress. But I will say I have learned a lot. Like there are a lot of things that I wouldn't usually do by myself, like kind of like I was saying, add stuff to certain gowns or whatever. Like I, I mean, it's the first time doing it, so
Right.
yeah,
How much
yes.
time have you spent doing like adding things to? I mean, if it's the first time doing it, then you got to take time, I suppose, to learn it. So has it been? Have you been spending hours on your costume?
Honestly, yeah. Like because I know how to sew and I'm pretty good with it,
Right.
but it's just the fact that I kind of have to figure out okay what gems look best with this and what I should add here, what type of lace I should use. So yeah, that's what's been spending the like majority of the time is planning. But I
Okay.
would say my mom has been a rock through this process and she's been really helping me. And honestly, sometimes I just tell her, like, buy whatever you want. Like, I don't want to look at it. Just buy whatever you think works and I'll try to figure it out.
That'll be an interesting way to turn up to a major international pageant. You get there with your luggage. You have no idea what was actually in there. You open it, go, oh, I guess I'm wearing this today. I don't know
Yeah.
how well that would work, but it is your mum, so I assume that she knows somewhat
Oh, you know what?
what
She
your
knows
fashion would
best.
be like.
Oh, I trust her
Well,
100%.
well, this is true when it comes to Asian mothers, isn't it? Asia mums are always right, just in general.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, the national costume. I know that you guys keep your national costumes under lock and key, so to speak. But how has that been coming along? Is that going okay?
It's going okay. It's going okay. I still have to work on it. There are some things that I'm still adding to it, but overall, it's going okay. I am quite happy with it personally. But we'll see. Like when it comes to national costume, sometimes people have different ideas of what a national costume is.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? I go with whatever is I think makes me proud and what makes me happy. So I think that's most important.
What I mean, I've asked this pretty much of anyone that I speak to. Even with our Australian contestant, I was asking her, how do you represent Australia? Because it's a massive country, and you've got to sort of reduce it down to one costume. Or people ask you, describe Australia, and you've got like 30 seconds to tell them about an entire country. I've never been to Taiwan. I don't know much about it. So, I mean, same question, but to yourself, like, how would you describe Taiwan if you go to Miss International and let's say the girls say, one of the contestants say, oh, tell us about where you're from. How would you describe Taiwan?
So for me personally, I really value traditional arts because I play the Chinese zither, which is a string instrument. It's kind of like a harp,
Hmm.
but it has thousands and thousands of years of history. So I love traditional culture. And so I would say Taiwan is the perfect mix between very traditional culture and very high tech. Because Taiwan,
Yeah.
I don't know if, well, most people know this. I don't know. But
It's okay. If
Taiwan
you embarrass me, it's fine.
Taiwan produces about 67, I believe, 67% of all semiconductors used in the world. And so, yeah, Taiwan is a perfect mix between high tech and very traditional culture. And that's you like walking down the street, you can tell because you have like high skyscrapers next to a very traditional shrine, right? And so I think that's beautiful though, because I would say my personality does reflect that. Because I really do love traditional culture. And yeah, so I think Taiwan encapsulates that perfectly. And it's very down to earth. Like, we're very down to earth, but we're also very proud of the success that we have had in the tech industry.
Yeah. Do you have any? I did know that about the semiconductors, but now that I'm thinking about it, do you have any idea how that happened? Because I mean, you've already said like Taiwan's not a giant country, so for it to be, and semiconductors are massively important to anyone who's using any kind of electronics. Do you have any idea how it happened that Taiwan ended up producing so much of the world's superconductors,
So,
semiconductors?
yeah, yeah. So I believe, because I did watch a video about this, and don't quote me on this, I might remember it
Okay.
wrong. But I do remember that it was several years ago when Taiwan was kind of a huge port, because we also do a lot of export and imports, and we
Right.
also do a lot of like shipping as well. That's probably one of our other biggest industries is shipping. And so back then, shipping was number one because we didn't really have the semiconductor industry just yet. And
Hmm.
Taiwan, I believe it was that a lot of tech companies, they decided to do a lot of production here in Taiwan because it was cheaper back then.
Right.
And then Taiwan started to figure out that we have kind of a gap between the finalized product and some of the smaller
Hmm.
components. One of them is being semiconductors. So
Yep.
eventually, Taiwan decided to start specializing in that, um, instead of like grabbing everything and putting everything together, because that's what we were doing originally. We would grab all of these smaller components from other countries, and then we would put them together and then ship them out. So that's what we were
Right.
originally doing. But then Taiwan figured out that, well, why don't we just specialize in one of the components, and one of the main components at that, and it's going to be part of every single technology that we use today. And so Taiwan, I guess in a way, Taiwan was lucky that semiconductors wasn't a big production for other countries at that time.
I mean, it might be luck, but it's also incredibly smart. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
you look at it lucky at the time, but with hindsight, it takes a degree of foresight to actually see that. I mean, what's the population of Taiwan roughly?
23 million.
23 million. Okay. I have no idea how big it is physically. So 23 million actually is about the same as Australia, only slightly smaller. So population-wise, we're about the same
Yeah.
size. But you mentioned that pageantry isn't huge in Taiwan, and I've often said pageantry in Australia is, I used to say small. Now I'm saying very small because I was actually interviewing Christina Lazaros, Miss International Netherlands, and I know you've spoken to her. I know
Yeah.
you've jumped on a live with her, although apparently you couldn't see her, or she
Yeah.
couldn't see her for some reason. I don't quite know
I
what
couldn't
happened
see
there.
it. Yeah.
I
I
don't
was
know
just
what
staring at
happened there.
myself.
You did well if you can't see someone. But to give you an idea, she said that there are 12 Dutch provinces, and in each province, there are several hundred women who come to the casting call. So she had 400 turn up to the casting call in her province alone. Now, to give you and she said Dutch pageantry is small. To give you an idea, Australian pageantry, if we have 20 to 30 women at the finals, that's already a large national pageant. So I'm just curious, like compared to, Australia or the Netherlands, and then you have the crazy massive countries like the United States, Venezuela, Philippines,
Yeah.
etc. How big is pageantry in Taiwan?
So pageantry is definitely not big. I don't know how big it is in Australia, but to be honest, I would consider it maybe even smaller. um, because we can't go to some of the other pageants. Like Miss International is one of the biggest ones that it is the biggest one that we can go to.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw that.
yeah, but I believe for my pageant, so Miss Taiwan, we for the finals we had 14 girls.
Okay.
And I don't know, the thing is I don't know how many people applied because it's not really public, but
Hmm.
originally we had like a big like online application process that we had to go through, and then they just selected, I believe, 21 girls, maybe around that, for the um, preliminary. And then
Yep.
we ended up with 14 for the final. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And I mean, given that pageantry in Taiwan is so small, how did you actually get into pageantry to begin with?
So I got into pageantry not in Taiwan. It was during high school in the States. And the reason why I started pageantry, this was about, I guess, 7 or 8 years ago. And the reason why I got into it is because I was in Taiwan for middle school and elementary school. And the education system in Taiwan is a bit different from North American education system. In the States, they really value, I guess, expressing yourself and being able to public speak, right?
Hmm.
Versus in Taiwan and a lot of Asian countries, it's a lot about discipline and receiving information. And
Yep.
so I wasn't very used to, like, going back to the States, I wasn't very used to that type of environment where I had to be very comfortable with expressing my own ideas, sometimes even debates. Like, I was very afraid of that. And my mom decided that I should try out pageantry because pageantry has a very well rounded training. Um, and it forces you to be comfortable with the stage and be comfortable with yourself. And so originally I was kind of against it. Actually, originally I had a very um, naive understanding of pageantry. I thought that, what a lot of people usually
Yep.
sometimes think, if they're not familiar with it, they would think it's quite superficial, or it's all about the glitz and glam, all about the gown or whatever. Eventually I realized that it's not. And so I started to fall in love with it, and I really started to enjoy it. So in university, I competed again, and I got Miss Chinese Toronto. I was going to go to an international pageant representing Toronto. I was going to go
Hmm.
to Miss Chinese International. It's held in Hong Kong. But at that time, it was during COVID, so it got canceled.
Oh,
And now I'm finally in Taiwan. I'm back in Taiwan. I came back here to work. It's not because of pageantry. A lot of people think that when I tell them that I miss Taiwan. Some people think that I came back in order to compete for Miss Taiwan, but no, it was for work. And then my friends told me, "Oh yeah, there's this pageant," and so I knew I needed to compete again, one last time.
I, I don't trust any pageant girls when they say it's the last time. It's like a politician saying, "Trust me." It's like, yeah, no, I'll be fine. But I'm curious, what was your first pageant experience like, if you can remember? Because if I'm understanding you correctly, and myself coming from a pretty traditional Asian upbringing, it is about kind of, you just sit there, you take in the information. You're not encouraged to be, let's say, outspoken because that's rude. Whereas I've interviewed a lot of American title holders, and one thing that really strikes me about them is they're not afraid to speak their mind, and they're very good at it. So there's this kind of clash, and obviously in pageantry, you can't just sit there and not say anything. That's not going to go so well. So what was it like as maybe a younger woman, and maybe let's say you're more reserved in the traditional Asian style? What was it like going in or being thrust by your mum into a pageant?
So like I said, I was quite against it. And I guess not only because of the superficiality of pageantry that I thought it was,
Hmm.
but it was also like, I did really not like having to, have opinions on things that I never really heard about, or sometimes didn't really even like, um, I guess, get any way involved in. So
Yeah.
yeah, I did find a struggle in it for sure. Like, I was definitely struggling to think of things to share on stage and trying to, I guess, in a way, to me, it was like showing off yourself. But I
Mm,
would say, like, in a more North American style, it would be like you're being confident and you're sharing
yeah.
who you are and being confident in that. But in a more like Asian approach, it would be no, you're like showing off.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I did have a struggle with that, and I was like, I wasn't very used to. selling myself. Like I wasn't very used to telling people what I'm good at. Like
Yeah.
I felt like that was, yeah, showing off. And so, yeah, I did struggle with it a lot. And to be honest, I still feel like I'm learning how to sell myself for sure. Like I'm still, because for like preparing for Miss International, I have to reach out to a lot of sponsors.
Mm.
Um, and during this process, like you kind of have to sell yourself. You have to tell them, hey, I'm representing Taiwan and I'm doing this for whatever reason. And so, in a way, it's selling yourself. And I am definitely still trying to learn how to do that. But, but I feel like through the past 7 or 8 years, I have improved a lot for sure.
How do you draw that balance? Because I mentioned this right at the beginning, and I've struggled with that as well because it very much is. I was brought up like you don't talk about yourself and you don't show off. Like talking about yourself is considered like a real not taboo necessarily, but it's considered as a child especially rude. You don't do that. And then on the other hand, if you go into the world of business or entrepreneurship or pageantry or anything in life, like you said, you need to approach sponsors. You do need to get really good at bigging yourself up because if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it. But then for me, it's always kind of a struggle. It's like, well, I don't want to come across as arrogant and showing off. So I want to retain some degree of humility. But then if I do that, then I'm not going to be good at selling myself because these other people seem to have no humility. So I'm just like, how do you draw that balance?
The other day because I'm an acting student, and the other day I was speaking to my acting teacher, my acting coach, and I asked him, how do I know the difference between confidence and being, I guess for lack of a better word, like cocky?
Yeah.
And I was asking him like what's the difference exactly? And he was telling me confidence is like when you have a skill that's maybe 80%, like 80% there, and you know it's 80% there. And so you're not afraid to tell people, yeah, I'm at 80% and that's okay. And I'm constantly approving and improving and trying to get to 100%. Whereas overly confident is when you're 80%, but you tell people you're at 100%, right? So what I learned from that is like, you don't try to oversell yourself. Like you don't have to seem perfect. I think our society, um, we always try to like seem perfect,
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily like, when you do that too much, that would make you seem overly confident. Whereas if you are okay with where you are and you're trying to improve and you tell people that, you tell people like,
Mm.
okay, hey, I am doing this, whatever, I'm doing this thing, and I need help in certain aspects. You just tell them like, I need help in certain aspects, or I'm doing this and I'm at what position. To me, I feel like that's how I can seem like I'm confident, but not overly confident.
Okay. That does make sense. I get that. I mean, for myself, it's a struggle to sort of because you got balance. You're trying to balance both sides, and I think both aspects have certain positives to them. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about being humble, especially in this day and age where there's so much social media and everyone seems to be talking about themselves all the time. But as I said, and you already pointed out in pageantry, if you're not going to sell yourself, then you're never going to do well.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of because you've lived in three different countries, so it could be more. I don't know, but we're talking Canada, America, and now Taiwan. This is a giant general question, but what are the main differences? Maybe not between, let's say, Canada and America, but between the Western and the Eastern cultures. You already said Taiwan has a deeply traditional roots, which I'd be fascinated to explore more. But what are the main differences that you found between the Western and the Eastern cultures?
Yeah, so other than like, I guess in a lot of Asian cultures we are a bit more reserved, like you said. We don't like to I guess show off.
Yeah.
Whereas in Western cultures they're very much like, be comfortable with yourself and being able to express yourself. So that's definitely number one. Another thing that kind of ties into that same idea is, and something that I'm getting used to coming back to Taiwan, is in North America, when they communicate with people, they're very straightforward, and they just
Hmm.
tell you what they think. Or if they want something, they just tell you what they want. Whereas in Taiwan, and my understanding is a lot of Asian cultures, is that they're a bit more what's the word? Like they are not very direct, because they believe that that's a bit rude when you're too direct.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's something that I'm like trying to get used to coming back here and working here, because sometimes I honestly don't understand them. Like they would tell me what they want, but they're not being very direct with it. And so I'm not personally, I'm not used to it. And so
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you want. You just need to tell me. Like, don't worry. My feelings won't be hurt. You just need to tell me, like, because I don't understand. So that's another thing. Um, what else? Taiwan. I would say Taiwan's quite down to earth. Not saying that like North America is not down to earth, but I mean down to earth in the sense that um, they. Hmm. I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest. Oh, one very important aspect, actually, I would say, is Taiwan really maintains um, that idea that they need to really take care of the elderly.
Yeah.
And a lot of Asian cultures have that, where, once is it called, like, I don't know what it's called in English. It's like filial piety or something like that. Piety,
Yeah.
filial piety, right?
Filial piety. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
That is a phrase I haven't heard in hundreds of interviews. Filial piety. Okay.
That's a huge thing in Asian cultures. Like, we definitely value that a lot. A lot of young people, like, they would send money back to the elderly, not
Mm.
because like their elderly needs money per se, but it's more of just like their respect for them. And
Yeah.
you took care of me for so many years, like I need to take care of you now. So that's a huge thing in our culture, that I would say is a bit different from North America. Not that they don't care about their elderly, it's more of like, you know
It's just a
um
different way of showing it.
yeah, a different way of showing it, for sure. Yes.
I mean, can I ask this? I mean, I've spoken to multiple. I mean, I had friends who would had to move school. They like to call them army brats or whatever it is. And so, they're moving school every year or every 2 to 3 to 4 years. And especially, let's say, if you're a young woman, it can be hard because you make friends and then you move to the other side of the country. You don't know anyone. You have to do it all over again. But I mean, you've moved countries multiple times during certain pivotal points in your education. So, I mean, what was that like? I mean, I got to assume it kind of been easy to sort of uproot everything and then move to not only, it's not like Canada to America, where at least relatively similar cultures. I don't want to, insult anyone, but at least they're both speaking the same language. Whereas
Yeah.
obviously Taiwan, East and West, it's very different. I mean, if you can remember back to those times when you had to move, I mean, that can't have been easy for you.
So originally I was born and raised in the States until the age of 9. And before the age of 9, I didn't speak Mandarin at all. I actually did go to a Cantonese elementary school.
Hmm.
Um, so we learned Cantonese. I don't really remember much of it. I mean, I can understand a little bit, but so I didn't speak Mandarin. And when I came to Taiwan, it was a huge struggle because I couldn't communicate at all. When I originally came here, I lived with my grandmother. So my mom also came with me, and I lived with my grandmother as well. And I couldn't communicate with my grandmother at all. So actually, I felt
Wow.
like there was a lot of misunderstanding between us. I mean, we have a great relationship now, but like back then, I felt like there was a lot of like misunderstanding between us. And going to school, it was a huge struggle because I couldn't understand anything that was said in class. I mean, even with like universally understood things like math, I still couldn't understand because all of the questions were written in Chinese.
Right.
And so, yeah, I would say for the first maybe couple months, I believe, I cried quite often. And my mom asked me if we should go back to the States, actually. She did ask me that. And I decided to stick it out. I decided to try to, learn the language and try to get used to the culture.
Hmm.
And eventually I did. Eventually I started picking up Mandarin. I mean, I guess being thrown into an environment, especially when you're 9, you can pick up languages a lot easier for sure
Yeah.
compared to when you're an adult. So yeah, I did pick it up eventually. And like I said, one thing that I really loved was the traditional culture. So beneath my apartment, my grandmother's apartment, was a Chinese instrument store. And so every time I came home from school, I would hear the guzheng sound. So guzheng is what's called Chinese zither, right? And it has 21 strings and it's kind of laying flat like this. So it's not
Mm.
like a harp where it stands up, it's like this. And I would hear the sounds and I thought that was so beautiful. So I told my mom, hey, I really, really want to learn the Chinese zither. And so I started learning. And when I was so I spent about 7 years. I spent about 7 years in Taiwan. And I did like certifications. We had to do like these type of tests to get
Yeah.
certifications for the Chinese instrument. So I did get a certification for it, and I still play it till this day. Actually, for Miss Taiwan, we have a talent portion, and I played the zither. Every time there's a talent portion for a pageant, I always play the zither.
Yeah. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. So, yeah, so that was my time in Taiwan. And then when I moved back to the States for high school, it was another transition because while I grew up in the States, I already changed as a person, having lived in Taiwan for 7 years. I completely changed.
Yeah.
And so now I had to like, um, it was kind of like a reverse culture shock. Like going back to a place I grew up in, and I thought I was familiar with it, but then
Mm.
I have to like rewire everything all over again. And yeah, I felt like I definitely struggled to meet friends in high school. Like I definitely struggled to um, meet friends and maintain those friendships because I felt like I kind of had like coming back from Taiwan, I kind of had a different idea of society. Like I had a different
Yeah.
idea of how social settings would work, and so I had to like relearn that. So it was another like reverse culture shock. And I would say like coming back again to Taiwan again is another reverse culture. Like I'm just having like culture shocks left and right to be.
Doesn't sound particularly. It sounds quite traumatizing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, but the thing is like every time I tell people this story, I always tell them like if I had the option to choose all over again, I would definitely go through this again.
Yeah.
Like even though it's extremely in many ways traumatizing, yes, but I would definitely go through it again because I learned so much, and I would say this upbringing has shaped me as a person
Mm.
and my cultural identity. So yeah, I would definitely go through it all over again.
I mean, it almost sounds like just within yourself, you're a melting pot of certainly East and West. I mean, you can't. It's not like you even just moved once. It's like you moved from here to there to here and then back again. Um, and so it sounds like it would almost make you unique or have a unique perspective. I mean, you're going to a pageant, so they always ask you, why should we pick you as a title holder and things like that. So, not that I'm giving you any advice, but I think you must have. And I mean, have you ever noticed this? Have you ever noticed people are having discussions, or maybe your friends are having discussions, and maybe they've only lived in the one country their entire life, and you realize that maybe you have a different perspective because you're basically a citizen of the world?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Because I would say uh sometimes when it comes to would say I have a very non-biased opinion on a lot of things that are happening in the world. Because sometimes people would have a very I guess biased opinion on certain
Yeah.
things that are happening in the world, like in terms of
Mhm.
maybe some other countries. And I would say, because I've lived in so many different places, I would say I kind of have a more unbiased opinion, because I feel like things are as it is, and I look at things for how it is. And so yeah, I would say that's definitely something that I've noticed. Because I would say a lot of people, because maybe they have more historical ties to that country, because like they think that, you know, their country's history kind of shapes their
Yeah,
current
of course.
society and how they are right now. And so they bring in that historical framework into their current society. Whereas
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I don't really have that. Like, I don't really think like, oh, this country's history is so and so, and whichever other
Yeah.
country is and so that's how it shaped that relationship. Like, I don't really have that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that's probably quite an unusual gift or quality to have in this day and age, is to be able to see things as they are, not really, seeing things the way we wish they were, or seeing
Right.
things the way that everyone in our country wants to. Because
Yeah.
one of the frustrations that I had growing up, because a lot of people in my school were Asian, were Chinese, and I always felt a bit uncomfortable. I kind of went out of my way to associate with people who weren't just Asians, whereas everyone else in my group would stay in that group. But I always felt like I was missing out if I didn't sort of push out and find out what other people were thinking. But let me ask you this. I mean, you really highlighted that you're able to see things from, you call it an unbiased point of view, which I think might sound bad, but I think it's a very good quality in this day and age, to really be able to see things objectively. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, at the same time, does that mean, like, where do you feel at home? Because this is one thing that I've struggled with, is knowing, okay, am I Australian or am I Chinese? And I can be an Australian, but people will ask me, well, where are you from? And I'm like, well, I was born here. No, but where are you from? And it's like, oh, well, my parents are from, and they won't leave it alone. And then but I don't feel Chinese. Like, when I'm hanging around Chinese, especially ones that have come to Australia from China or Hong Kong, and they have certain behaviors, mannerisms, even superstitions. And I just look at it and go, what? Like, I don't understand it. So have you ever struggled to go, okay, where do I actually feel at home?
I have definitely struggled.
Yeah.
um, I would say, because people often ask me, like, oh, are you more, Western, or are you more Eastern? Like, are you more Taiwanese or are you more American? And to be honest, I never have an answer for that, because I don't feel like I'm more one or the other.
Yeah.
Um, I would say, because I lived in different places at specific periods of my life, um, that has shaped me exactly depending on my age, because you learn certain things at a certain age, right? So for example,
Yeah.
when it comes to like how you view society and how you learn how society works, usually that starts developing in your teen or early adulthood.
Yeah.
And I was in
Yeah.
North America for that. And so like there's certain aspects that has shaped me during certain periods of time. So honestly, right now I'm kind of like I feel like to be honest, just straight up in between. And
Yeah.
and when it comes to like, okay, what do you call home? To be honest, I don't really have an answer for that. Like I feel like they're all my home. Like I feel like North
Yeah.
America is my home too. Taiwan is also my home, and I could be happy in both places. Like I could
Yeah.
find happiness
Okay.
in both places for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very good answer. I think that's a good way of looking at it, rather than saying that I feel uncomfortable everywhere. It's like, well, I feel equally at home in multiple countries, which is always a good thing. I mean, I had a comment a while ago. I don't know if this is someone you know. I just got initials JHL. It says, "Mum cannot be always right, but she does try to support as much as she can. And then
Oh.
also great food, decent weather during the fall. Please do come to Taipei for a good 10 to 14-day visit. I mean, can we talk about food? I mean, we've been talking about East meeting West. You've lived in America, you lived in Canada, and now obviously you're back in Taiwan. If I was to say, okay, let's go out to eat, I mean, and you had choice of anything, like, what are you grabbing? Are you going the Eastern route or are you going the Western route? Or does it literally depend on like which day I happen to ask you on?
Yo, it happens on which day.
Okay.
Like, okay, because I love food. And so, but the thing is, I love, like, okay, I always say this. My number one, like, favorite cuisine is probably Mexican food. But the thing is, okay, I would say like maybe American Mexican, like
Americanized Mexican, which to be clear is very not Mexican.
I don't want to say Mexican food because that.
Don't say Taco Bell. Taco Bell is not Mexican. Just so you know.
No. Listen, I have better taste than Taco Bell.
Oh, good. That's not hard, but good.
Okay, no, I'm because I love, again, American Mexican food. I love Mexican food. But I would say the number one like dish that I like is it's kind of, I think it's originated from southern China. It's called lu wei, and it's huge in Taiwan. And basically it's like a braised, it could be anything actually. Like you could put noodles in it, you could put meat, you could put tofu, but essentially it's any of those things and then braised in a specific soup.
So, right, okay.
Yeah. So it's called lu wei. And I absolutely love it. It's like my number one thing. And if you were ever going to come to Taiwan, I would definitely bring you to it.
I'm really wondering what perhaps the Cantonese, because I actually grew up Cantonese family. So Cantonese, I don't speak it well because I didn't have the practice. My pronunciation is horrific, but I can understand like 80 to 90% of it. So now I'm wondering what the Cantonese name for it, because you have a huge Asian culture here, a huge Asian population. So there's a lot of good Chinese food. And I'm wondering, because there's a dish that's coming to mind, my dad will make it all the time. It's braised noodles, very often short ribs, some vegetables. But for me, it wasn't really a soup. It's more like a savory, like soy, almost like a soy-infused soup. So I don't think it's quite what you're thinking of.
No. Well, the soup, technically you're not supposed to drink it. I mean, some people do drink it, but I would advise against it, to be honest, because I think it's mostly just soy.
What's wrong with soy? Soy tastes amazing.
Well, it's very salty, like.
That's such an Asian thing. It'd be like our parents would always tell us, "Don't drink the soup. Too much salt. Too much MSG." And then it's funny growing up in Australia, but with your Chinese parents, it's weird. You get this crossover. I mean, for example, you chime in if any of this makes sense. Can't wear shoes indoors. All right, like you have to take your shoes off. If you're wearing shoes indoors, just can't do it. That's definitely not a Western thing. Can't use, metal cutlery on a non-stick pan. If you do that, that's not good. So there's all these, there's all these bits and pieces. That's why I really was interested to chat to you, because for me, it's always like, it's interesting. I have certain parts of me, and it's like what you said. If someone to ask me, am I more Chinese or more Australian? It's like, I don't really know how to answer that question, because in some aspects, I think I'm very Chinese or Asian, but in other aspects, I'm very Australian or Western. And I don't really ever think, I almost don't think it's a good question, because there's no way of answering it. I think I'm a unique combination, and it depends on, as you said, it's like the particulars of where you grew up and when. I mean, obviously your one is more complicated for you because, you've moved multiple times. But just come back for a sec. What was the name of that instrument? You said, I'm going to butcher the Chinese, but you said it was a Chinese either. What was the Chinese name of it?
古筝.
Okay. Yes. My Chinese pronunciation, awful.
So,
I think the reason I saw it on I think I saw it on your Instagram, or maybe it was you were tagged, and I saw that it was almost like that year one you're playing it, and then like year two you're playing it, and you could see yourself getting better and better. Now, I have a background as a classically trained violinist. I started at the age of 2. And I have to say, I never really heard that instrument much at all, except maybe in some Chinese movies. But it has such a distinct sound. It's really, really soothing. It almost is like, it feels like a soft breeze and like leaves falling. It's very, and I'm not normally that person who looks into a lot of symbolism, but I heard you playing. It's like, that sounds really beautiful. So, I mean, tell me more about this instrument. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, so I'll quickly do like a quick little history lesson.
Okay.
So, because you asked me what the name was, and I'll kind of tell you where it came from. So, gu, the first letter, gu, word, gu means old, okay, ancient.
Right.
So that's pretty straightforward. But the second word, zheng, so this word actually is it came from a different word, which is also zheng, but zheng means to fight for something. So you're constantly like fighting. And actually, the reason why it used that word is because there's like this story. I don't know if it's true or not, because, you know, like a history story. I don't know if it's true. But basically, they said like they were grabbing another instrument that was similar to it, which is guqing. It's actually a lot smaller. I believe it only has like five strings or 6 strings.
Yeah.
And they were grabbing this instrument and they were like fighting back and forth. And so they just used the word zheng because they were fighting back and forth. And I believe eventually it snapped in two. And so that's what happened. I don't know. It's a very weird story, but that's where the name came from. And so the more like ancient version of it, the predecessor is guqing, which only has 5 strings. And eventually guzheng came about and it has 21 strings. Well, the current modern version has 21 strings. There's also a 16-string version, but that one's a bit. Anyways, so so I originally fell in love with the sound, and that's why I told my mom I wanted to learn to play it. Because I don't know, the sound, like you said, is just so beautiful. Like it's unlike any other instrument, and I mean, I guess it's kind of similar to the harp, but personally, I think the sound is even more like just so enriching, and I don't know, like it's just so rich and beautiful, and it has like its delicate aspect, but also has its like strong and deep because it has 21 strings. So you have a very wide range of the sounds that you can make. Yeah.
What's the? I mean, obviously with the harp you have like a frame on it. Does does the zither have? Is it like a wooden box underneath to help generate the sound, or is it just a? Okay, because I think it has an airier, roomier sound than a harp. I think a harp is more direct, and I mean, I love the sound of the harp. Don't get me wrong, but just hearing. It's a unique sound, let's put it that way. I mean, I grew up in orchestras, violin, violas, cellos, all that stuff, brass instruments. And that instrument really has a very distinct sound. But let me ask you, I mean, what songs do you play? I mean, are you able to play Western songs? I mean, not that you maybe want to or need to, but I mean, are you playing, because you already said you love the traditional Chinese culture, so I assume you're playing a lot of traditional Chinese songs. But do you ever play like more modern songs on it? Like, are you playing Taylor Swift on it, or is that sacrilege? I shouldn't say that.
You know what? You can technically, like, if you want to, you can play modern songs. I have seen a lot of like YouTube videos of guzheng players playing like Western songs or modern Chinese songs. But personally, I stay away from those because I love I love traditional songs that are made to play on the guzheng, because I find it the best sounding. Like, I feel like it perfectly encapsulates the sound that the guzheng makes and makes it even better. Because I feel like if you use the guzheng to play like modern songs, it still sounds good, but it doesn't make it sound best. Like, it doesn't bring out the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because I think it's a very unique instrument. So you probably want to be playing music that was written specifically with that instrument in mind. I mean, it sounds so relaxing. Do you play it for relaxation? Because I got to say, I was made to play the violin when I was young. Now I enjoy playing it, but that's different. But back then I didn't get a choice, and I was pretty good at it, so I was forced into the orchestras. But I
Asian
mean,
upbringing.
100. That's why I actually almost got expelled from school because I got so
Oh,
fed up from being made to go into all these orchestras. I was playing 6 days a week. To give you an idea, even Saturday, and I just got so sick of not having a choice. I'm like, I'm done. I'm going on strike, and I almost got expelled. But the zither, it sounds so relaxing and soothing. So, when you play it, is it for more relaxation and personal enjoyment than like the traditional? Oh, you got to get good at this instrument so you can play in this and do all that.
you know what? I would say now I am able to enjoy it a lot more. So yeah, sometimes I do like just genuinely enjoy when I'm playing. I would say back then when I was learning to play, because also had that aspect of preparing for the certifications and stuff because it's kind of
Oh yeah.
it's a 10 level like
Right.
thing.
Okay.
I don't know, and then you have to like constantly move up, and so that was kind of like it was bringing another aspect of just like stress to the process. So it kind of became like occasionally I would enjoy the music, yes, but it was also like, okay, I gotta play it perfectly, otherwise I'm not gonna like pass the test. So back then less so, but now yes, now I can definitely enjoy the music when I'm playing it for sure.
Nice. You know what's
Yeah.
really weird about you saying this whole thing with the certification in the background, and hopefully you can't hear it at the moment. My nephew is currently doing a recording session to pass what we call the AMEB exams here, grade 8. And so he's got a
uh
professional like pianist here. He's playing the violin. They're doing a whole recording, and it's really interesting because that sort of gives me post-traumatic stress syndrome because it's the whole thing. Like I would enjoy this music, but you were never allowed to just enjoy it, and you always had to be preparing for the next level. And
yes.
I remember at one stage going, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, what? Why? Like, why not? Of course you're going to do it. It's the only thing." But it's like, why can't I just play this because I enjoy it? But for some reason, that never crossed. I don't think the word enjoyment probably crossed my upbringing much at all. I didn't get much choice of anything. But I mean, the how big is this instrument?
Oh, it's about 165 centimeters long.
Okay.
And then the width, I'm not quite sure actually. I would say it's like maybe 40, 50 centimeters. Because I know it's
Okay.
about
About a
like
foot and a half.
I was like looking at my
Right.
arm. But yeah. So because usually when you pack it, because it's so long, you can't
Yeah.
just like hold it like this. You kind of have to like put it upright. So it's about my
Yeah.
height, oh, well, almost my height, because I'm about 168, 69. And so, like, yeah, when you hold it up, it's like here.
So it's not the easiest instrument then to travel with.
Absolutely not. And it's extremely heavy too. I don't know how much it weighs, but I just know it's extremely heavy.
Okay. And just like a nerdy question, I mean, when you play the violin, strings snap and you got to replace them. I mean, you got 21 strings. Do they ever snap? Is it something you have to tune? Like, just give me the background on the
Yeah.
instrument.
Yeah, so you do have to tune it, but usually for snapping, it only happens for the first like 3 to 5 strings because those are the thinnest. And
Right. Okay.
so if it does snap, you can just replace it. And it's not too difficult to replace, to be honest, because you can replace it yourself. I know for some instruments, you would have to like actually get it replaced by a professional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But for guzheng, no, you can just replace it yourself. It's quite easy to replace. And yeah, you would have to tune it quite often. And the thing is, I would say this happens for a lot of string instruments and wood instruments too, where the temperature and
Oh, yeah.
humidity of the air
Yeah.
affects the sound. Yeah. And so, yeah, especially in Taiwan because it's so humid and
Mm.
the weather is extremely hot here. So you would have to constantly tune it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great weather conditions for a wooden string instrument. I mean, this day and age, the violin cases even have those meters inside that measure how humid it is, so you know how to
Oh.
take care of your violin. But yeah, that's not very kind conditions for a wooden string instrument. Um, got another comment, Adrian. There are a lot of choices for food here for all walks of life. Seriously, how important? I mean, I'm just getting this impression that like food is very important to the
Food
Taiwanese culture.
is.
Mind you, it's important in Chinese culture as well. I mean, we
Yeah.
go to Chinese restaurants so many times, and there's some dishes that no matter what I try in the Western culture, it's like, no, I need to have this dish, and I get homesick for it when I can't get it. But it feels like Taiwanese and food, the culture and the food are one and the same thing.
You know what? It absolutely is. And the thing is, sometimes Taiwanese people are very tired of hearing of it because that's what a lot of Western people say. Like, oh, when they think of Taiwan, they think of food. And so sometimes Taiwanese people get a little tired of it. But the thing is, they made it this way. Like, they absolutely love food. And if you go to any restaurant, it would always be packed. There is never a single, like, when I was living in the States, sometimes you would see restaurants that are quite, like, I guess, not very popular. In Taiwan, it's so difficult to find a restaurant that has little business. It is so difficult because restaurants are almost always packed. Almost always. Right. And there's also night markets. So I don't know if you know this, but Taiwan.
No, tell me more. Tell me more about the night markets, because this is something that I want to hear more about.
Yeah. So Taiwan has night markets, and basically they're markets, but only opened during the night. So usually they open around like 5 or 6 p.m. And it's almost maybe 80% food. There are some other stores as well. They would sell, like, I guess, tech gadgets or clothing or bags or whatever. But I mean, who cares about those? Because the main attraction is food, okay? And so a couple of like things that you would see often in night markets, you would see fried chicken a lot. You would see lu wei, like I said. You would see a lot of like desserts like mochi or like maybe donuts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You would see quite a lot of seafood as well, like octopus, or like, there's also this other thing called 车轮饼, which is like, it's a dessert, but it's basically a round cake about this size, and it's filled with like red bean paste or cream paste. Yeah, so honestly, like Taiwan, we love food. We do.
I'm getting that impression. It's making me hungry thinking about this, because there's a suburb near me called Chatswood, and there's a lot of Chinese restaurants there, probably 80-90% Asian population. And you'll go past all these Chinese barbecue places. I don't know if you have this sort of thing in Taiwan, but you'll see the roast duck, the soy chicken, and they'll be hanging in the window, which sometimes makes the Western people a bit squeamish. It's like, oh, that's a whole duck with a head and everything. But I'm so used to it. Then they'll take it down and chop it up for you. I have to say, the one thing I do not like about Chinese cuisine is the desserts. The red bean, for example. No, red bean. There's a dish in Cantonese culture that's hong dao sa. I'm butchering it, but okay, red bean soup. And it's funny that you mentioned when you're talking about the zither, like different pronunciations, because the Chinese language being tonal, I know that you know this, but English is not tonal. So I'd always say, what do you mean? Like, it's red bean sand. It's like, no, it's not sa, it's sa. I'm like, it's the same word. But anyway, red bean. No, it's not. It's not sweet. Like no, and then people say, but you just add sugar to it. But I could add sugar to anything, and then I could add sugar to my soy chicken. Eventually, it's going to be dessert. And mooncakes. Oh, mooncakes with a preserved egg yolk. Oh, I don't understand. This is where probably the Western side of me comes out. I don't understand. Like the preserved egg yolk, it's salty, and then the red bean. I'm like, oh, I feel like I insulted you deeply.
In this aspect, I would say I'm more Asian than you then, because I absolutely love Chinese desserts or Asian desserts in general. I think Asian desserts are so much better than Western. Well, I don't know about that, but
I was going to say.
No, but I would say, like, I love Asian desserts. I love red bean, like red bean soup. And they also add like yiren, which I don't know what type of it's like some type of barley. And they add like green beans. And Oh, it's so good. And the thing is, the most important part is that Asian desserts are also arguably healthier because they add less
But
sugar.
no one eats a dessert to be healthy. I want a dessert because it tastes good.
Wait.
Okay, all right, go on.
But the thing is, like, it's good and kind of healthy. Okay, like
Agree to
in
disagree.
In Chinese, this is called 一箭双雕. You know, like there's because in Chinese there's a lot of like idioms.
Yeah.
So quick Chinese lesson. 一箭双雕 means like you can kill two. Oh, actually, there is an English saying, kill two birds with one stone. That's the exact translation. So yeah, you can like, because red beans are so healthy for you, and like they add a bunch of like other barley. And I'm like trying to sell you on this. I can't believe.
I know. And you said you struggle selling yourself. You have no problem selling red bean on me. You should become a red bean salesperson. I mean, look, I've had this argument with my parents for like my entire life. I just don't understand when, at Chinese restaurants here, they always bring the complimentary dessert, right?
Yeah.
And it's always watermelon sliced up and that bloody red bean soup. And I just don't. I never have it because the watermelon is really cheap watermelon, has no taste, and then it's like the bloody soup, which is not a dessert. And yes, it doesn't taste great, and it's not that healthy for you. So I'll look at it the opposite way that you do. But literally, I just give it to someone else at the table. It's like, yeah, you want it, you have it. I mean, I got to say, because I tried, I tried Malaysian dessert once. I think it was Malaysian, and it had corn in it, corn kernels. Okay. And I wasn't expecting that in my dessert. I'm like, have a chocolate cake, have a souffle. I'm eating this like jelly thing happily. And then I get a corn kernel in my throat. I taste it. It was so unexpected. I almost just spontaneously vomited. Not because I love corn, but it's like, it doesn't belong in. Why is there corn in my dessert? I don't So it's a really weird disconnect for me because things like the tea, with a pearl tea, I don't understand that at all because it's just like sugar and tea and then the giant balls, which I love to, use as like a blow.
You don't like tapioca?
No, I don't. Okay, there is one Chinese dessert that I love, which is a tapioca or sago in like the coconut milk. I love that one.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Yeah, and then like mango pudding is okay, but that's sickly sweet. But because everyone, when they think of Asian desserts, they always like, oh, the milk tea and this tea. And I'm like, I don't like tea, first off. And then the milk tea, it's just like, it feels like drinking sweetened clay. I don't understand it at all.
Well, okay, personally, I'm not crazy about milk tea either. And I'm not crazy about boba. But you know where boba's from?
No.
Boba's from Taiwan.
Oh, great. So I'm not welcome in Taiwan anymore. I just slagged off your entire country. I don't understand. I don't hate it. I just don't understand it. It's like a lot of big floating squidgy things. And I'm like, I don't know. I used to suck them up in the big straws and then use them as blow darts.
This is a big aspect of our culture too. So food is number one. But number two is drinks. We absolutely listen. I live in a big intersection currently, and this intersection has at least, I would say, 10 drink stores. Okay, just within this one intersection, there's like 10 of them all surrounding this intersection. And it's because people just absolutely love buying drinks like tea or like milk tea or boba or just any type of drink, really, like a fruit drink, whatever. And you would just walk around the street and you would always see at least maybe like 60% of people that you would cross by has a drink in their hand. And they even have, they sell like these specific bags, these specific bags that you can buy for those type of drinks. Like you can, it like is, I don't know, it holds like
I've seen we have something similar here. It's I get it. I don't understand it. I get it. I mean, there are a lot of I mean, there are Chinese restaurants here, but then there are also an ever-increasing number of literally just standalone drink stores.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
all they do, they've got these big machines, and that they put the wrapping on the top, and then they give you this giant
yeah,
straw that you can puncture it through.
yes,
Um,
yes.
and I just go there and I go like, I don't know why you guys are so crazy about this. But look, I mean, the very weird thing for me, it's often my Western friends who are crazier about that than I am. I don't like it. They're crazy about it. But I don't know. It's a weird thing sometimes when you feel like, okay, I should like this because I am Asian, but the red bean, the moon cakes, oh, I dread the moon cakes. I don't know. It's a weird thing for me.
I would
I
say,
mean,
yeah, I would say mooncakes are less healthier, so that's okay.
but you're not telling me honestly that you pick your foods based on what's healthiest for you when you're having dessert.
Okay, I mean, I guess dessert.
I mean,
I would sometimes, because I love dessert. Like I love cakes. I love tiramisu.
there you
In
go.
general,
That's a proper dessert.
I do love dessert, and so in general, I try to cut down like unhealthy foods and sugar because sugar is extremely bad for your health. But when it
Yeah.
comes to dessert, I will let myself cheat a little bit occasionally.
Tiramisu is very much the opposite of your red bean soup. It's
Yeah.
full of sugar, no beans inside, no lentils, no barley, just sugar. I mean, I will say I don't like tiramisu either. It's like the one dessert that I never understood tiramisu. It just I love coffee is the weird thing, but there are other. I don't want people to think I hate all desserts. I actually love quite a lot of desserts, but tiramisu, like you just pick the ones that I dislike. It's making me look bad.
Then what
But
do you like? It's just,
when it comes to desserts, well, I will say I am more of a savory person than a sweet person, right? So I'm thinking Peking duck. I'm thinking the lobster here, which you have with yimin. I love that noodle. And then braised short rib. That's all got my vote. But I'd happily fill up on that and not leave room for the bloody red bean red bean sand thing. I don't know. It's very, very weird. But I don't know how we got sidetracked onto the topic of food. But I mean, just to wrap it up, I get the idea that I was going to ask. So with the Taiwanese, you said, what are they called? The night markets? Is that the right term for them?
yeah, night market.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that like open air? And also like the restaurants, are they open air seating? Because a lot of the Chinese restaurants here, you can't make bookings for them, not like a Western restaurant. So, you phone up an Italian restaurant here, table for 6 at 7 p.m. Here, you just got to show up, you take your number, so you've got to turn up really, really early. But the Chinese restaurants here function a bit differently to the Western restaurants. So the restaurants in Taiwan are they smaller, family operated? Are they bigger chain ones? Is it a bit of a mix of both?
Yeah, so it depends on what you're talking about in terms of like normal restaurants or a night market.
Okay.
So for night market, we don't have like restaurants. It's usually food stands. Sorry,
Right.
give me one second. Just gotta wipe my nose real quick. Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, so we usually have food stands for night markets. But for restaurants, we do have big food chains as well. So we have pretty big restaurants, and we also have a lot of family-owned restaurants as well. But usually for the big food chain restaurants, no matter if it is foreign food like Italian or French or whatever,
Yeah.
or local food like Taiwanese food, you can still book a reservation for either.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a
Sorry.
bit different to over here then. No,
Yeah.
no. Did I interrupt you? I think
No,
you were
no.
going to say something. Okay. I mean, when you're going over to Japan, obviously, in a few weeks. Are you looking forward to trying the Japanese food?
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. Quick little fun story. I actually grew up vegetarian. So when I was young, as a baby, because like baby food has different flavors, right? So you would have like broccoli and peas, or you would have like chicken and I don't know, whatever. Whenever my mom fed me the vegetable flavored ones, I would be fine. But then when she would feed me like beef flavored baby food or chicken flavored baby food, I would spit it out. And so she she figured like, oh, well, I hate the taste of meat. And true, I grew up hating the taste of meat, and I hate the taste of, well, the texture of meat as well. And that goes with seafood too. So
Right.
originally, I didn't eat any seafood either. Eventually, as I grew older, I started to learn to eat meat. So now I do eat meat. I actually eat beef quite often and chicken. Um, and so recently, because I'm going to Japan, I decided I should at least get used to eating more seafood as well. So now
Yeah.
I'm eating a lot more like nigiri and sushi. Like I'm trying to try to get used to it a bit more. And I hopefully can learn to love it in Japan because fish is so healthy for you. And I hate that I'm not able to eat fish. Well, now I can at least handle it. I'm not crazy about it, but I can at least eat it. So I hope that in Japan, I can start to learn to love it. Because what better place than Japan?
It's funny. Here I am, an Asian, and I can't stand Asian desserts, and here you are, an Asian who's vegetarian, which is it's very, very rare in Asian circles. I will say, obviously, the Japanese seafood is very good, but fun
Yeah.
fact, they actually import some of their fish from us over here in Australia.
Oh,
So that says something. I mean, the seafood. I will say the food here in our country is probably. I mean, I've traveled around the world, and I love coming back for the food. Let's just put it that way. I spent some time in the States, spent some time living in the UK, less. And the food there wasn't great, especially Chinese options.
oh
But
yeah.
I feel like we've discussed everything except pageantry, but that's okay. I mean, you're going to be heading over to Japan for food and probably the pageant as well. So how are you feeling? I don't know. Maybe you're just going over there to get sushi. But how are you feeling 3 weeks out? Obviously, you've got a bit going on. So have you had time to think about, how you're going to represent your country? What are you excited about going over there? Because you're going to be meeting women from all around the world. And I know that you've spoken to a few of them already. So
Yeah.
what are the emotions like at the moment?
Yeah. So one thing because you did mention how am I going to share Taiwanese culture. So
Yeah.
like I said, I really value the traditional culture, right? And so back in January, I started to learn 水墨画, which is, how do I say in English? It's like ink drawings, like the
Calligraphy?
traditional ink drawings, like
Drawings.
you
Okay.
yeah, like they use like calligraphy pens,
Yep.
calligraphy pens to draw out. So I started to learn that, and so I am actually preparing. Well, almost done with it, but I am preparing about 150 something of
Oh,
the paintings that I made myself to gift to all of the delegates, as well as the team as well, MI team and Stefan and all the other people. So yeah, I've been preparing that, and I will also write like their country name as well on the painting. And so, because it's a very like traditional art, and I
yeah.
love the traditional cultures, so I do want to share that with them. So that's definitely the major thing. I'm also going to prepare some of like traditional Taiwanese snacks, like some Taiwanese candies for them as well. So that's what I'm going to bring, like a little piece of Taiwan over there
Yeah.
to Japan.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, sorry, what was the second part of your question? I forgot.
I was just asking how you're feeling, like
Oh,
emotionally, given that it's so
oh,
close.
okay. Emotionally, okay. Honestly, I would say I'm more excited than nervous at this point. I would say
That's good.
like maybe a couple weeks ago, if you were to ask me, I was maybe 80% nervous and 20% excited. But now I'm definitely more excited than nervous because I just want to go there, and I really value like being genuine. I think that's how I try to portray myself. And so that's what I keep reminding myself, just go and be genuine. Just be yourself. Um and so yeah, and that's what I'm planning on doing. I'm not going to think about it too much. I feel like
Yeah.
I have already prepared a lot, not only in just these couple of months, but also just in life, because when you're going, you're not like showing off a couple of months worth of hard work. You're showing
Yeah.
a lifelong worth of hard work.
Yeah.
So I feel like I already did what I should be doing, right? Like I already
Yeah. Yeah.
prepared a lot. And
Yeah.
so I'm just going to bring whatever I have on me as a person and just go there and be myself. That's what I'm planning on doing. So, you know what? I'm more excited than nervous at this point.
Well, that's great. I mean, I think that's a fantastic way of looking at it. I mean, just before we move to the final 10 questions, because I've spoken to you about food predominantly for over an hour already, I'm just looking at the time that's gone by. What do you do apart from pageantry and eating? Like, I mean, for 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 a living, I assume you're not a food critic, although I've seen your social media and like all your posts are basically in restaurants. And I look at your feed and I get super hungry, by the way. It's quite annoying. But aside from eating and pageantry, like what do you do study wise? I know you're, I think you're studying a performing arts degree, but tell us more about that side.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm doing a master's program in performing arts. And so basically, in school, our training is more about musicals. Like we focus on musicals. So we do like acting, singing, and dancing. It's kind of these three main areas, and we combine it. And that's more of the training aspect because I'm not planning on going on to doing musicals. That's not like my long-term goal.
Okay.
But I'm using it as a good training because I do really value like well-rounded training. And I think as an actor, even if you're just doing like acting specifically, you kind of have to know a bit of everything, to be honest, because acting is like mimicking life. And so
Exactly.
and what I have left is my thesis because I'm finished with all of my courses. So I just have my thesis left, which I will work on after MI because I already have enough on my plate. And then other than that, I also do work as well. Like other than schooling, I also do work. I am a model, so I do a lot of advertisements. And I also teach as well. So I'm teaching English and math and psychology. And I help a lot of students in Taiwan prepare for applying for universities in the States or in
right.
the UK. Yeah. So I'm also helping with that. And is there anything else I have? No, that's about it.
That's a lot already. You don't need to add more to the plate. I do love the fact that it's almost like full circle moment that you can use your life experience to help, young Taiwanese students sit the exams or sit the entrance exams for universities or colleges overseas. I think that's cool. Do you feel like you understand them or you sympathize with them better because that's like similar to the journey you went through?
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I can see that, a lot of the students, because I have some students that are in the States right now and I help them with some of their university courses, university materials. So I definitely can understand the struggle that they're going through in terms of, going to a new environment. And a lot of them are on their own. Like at least I had my mother helping me every time I moved. But a lot of these students are on their own. And so I definitely can sympathize with them. I understand what they're going through. And that, that's why I want to help them. And actually, my education is part of my job, but it's actually also part of my charity work as well, because I work with this foundation here in Taiwan, Xinchuan. And what they do is they help provide some education support for underprivileged students that don't have access to, because in Taiwan, we have a lot of cram schools that help with their homework or help with schooling. And a lot of students don't have that either financial ability or whatnot to obtain those same resources. So that's what we do at the foundation. We help them with their homework, with their schooling, and we also provide dinner as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's amazing. I mean, are cram schools a big thing over in Taiwan? Because over here in Australia, they've really started very, very young. When I was going through school, you might get, we'd call them a tutor.
Yeah.
Basically, if you were struggling, and really it was basically only for maths, like if you weren't, and the maths that I did was very difficult, so sometimes you needed extra help. But in this day and age, it's in Australia at least, you can start when you're in kindergarten. When you're 5, 6 years old, you start going into these cram schools so that you can sit exams that are 2 years above your grade. Is that much of a thing over in Taiwan?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a huge thing in Taiwan. Yeah, cram schools are huge. Usually a lot of students actually, because you have to buy like specific courses for certain subjects, right? So like, and there's basically courses for any subject. You have biology, you have math, chemistry, Chinese, English, like anything really. And so, yeah, I know a lot of students that go to cram school for almost every single subject that they take in school.
Yeah, it does. At some point, it does make me wonder, what are you actually learning at school? Because it seems like they have they seem like they go to these tuition or cram schools for everything. It's like, well, what's the point? And I'll ask them, well, what did you learn at school? Nothing. I was like, I don't understand that. Final question on a sillier note. All the food stuff that's on your socials, how does that happen? Are you just going to restaurants all the time, or is that part of your influencing work or your modeling? Like the one where you went to, it looked like a hot pot, I guess we'd call it, where you cook your own food. How is all this happening? How does one get this work?
It's technically like like a collaboration, basically.
Okay.
So they invite me to go to the restaurant, and I basically just help them promote it. It's that simple. Like they invite me, they say, hey, come try out our food, and then I help promote it through reels or through a post. Yeah.
So you get to eat for free.
Yeah.
Okay. And suddenly everyone hates you. You literally got every pageant girl's dream job, getting free food.
Free.
Oh my! I'm so jealous. I was very impressed, by the way. I think it was one at the hot pot. I think it was you and your friend, and it cut to a part of you like holding the tray and walking, like doing like a pageant walk. How much practice that take? Because I can't do either one of those things. I can't hold a tray like this, and I can't do a pageant walk. I mean, you made it look very natural. Are you experienced at doing that sort of thing, or was it like 5,000 takes to get that?
No, I think it only took like 2 takes, and that's only because we wanted to like change the timing and stuff. It wasn't because of the walk. So actually, like, it just came naturally. But I mean, I would say it wasn't that hard. Like, because I've been doing pageants since, I don't know, like 2016. So the walk is like ingrained in muscle memory, And then as for the plates, I was just holding the plates. Like,
you would be amazed at how many people would find that very, very difficult. There are a lot of clumsy people out there. I was interviewing a girl just yesterday, and she said she frequently falls downstairs. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, I kind of want to see that, but I really don't. Like, I'm not around people who just fall. I can't remember the last time I fell downstairs, but apparently she does it on the regular. So,
wait,
no,
like
but I was very.
In heels or just in flats?
Just in general. In general life. Like going to McDonald's. Okay. She's very smart, so obviously she hasn't fallen on her head, but it's very very embarrassing. Although, I mean, she's very successful in pageantry, so sort of begs the question, if you fall over in flats, how are you not falling over in heels? Well, I don't understand it.
You know that meme about Ariana Grande that can walk in heels? Like, she can run in heels, but whenever she's wearing flats, she's like falling all over the place.
It is. I saw... because I think it was the beginning of COVID, in the pageant industry, there was this meme going around about, girls running in higher heels. They're like level 1, level 2, level 3. And then I saw this reel. I shared it on my story. It's this girl who does almost like a break dance, like a really intricate, like dancing on kicking her legs up. And she's doing it in like 6-inch stilettos. And I'm looking at that going, okay, I get you girls can run in heels, but I bet you can't do this. I had more than a few comments going back, if I did this, I would break my neck. So I was like, yeah, but I was very impressed by that. I don't know how long she practiced it for, but
yeah, that's very impressive.
It was. Okay, so before I start talking about food again, well, what are you eating after this, by the way? It's going to be dinner time. So what are you going to eat for dinner tonight?
I actually have some leftovers I haven't finished yet. So I was gonna eat some noodles. So yeah, I'll probably finish that. Oh wait, I actually have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you a noodle person or a rice person?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, at the moment, just for 2 weeks, I'm on a keto diet, so I can't have
Oh,
either one. But I love both. Okay, now I'm going to get into real trouble. I don't like white rice. You know, growing up Asian family, every time you have dinner, you have to have a gigantic bowl of white rice.
yeah.
And my dad is what we call fan tung, like rice bucket
Oh
in
yeah.
Cantonese. Because he comes from quite a poor background. So, you know, for them, having a big bowl of rice is what you do. But my mum comes from the wealthier side of China. And so she's not as big into rice. But for me, rice was always just kind of like what you have to have to so that you can't eat the tastier stuff. But that being said, and this is very maybe Western of me, I love fried rice. Like a really good fried rice. I love that. But then I probably would say I've never met a noodle I didn't like, with a couple of exceptions. But noodles, when they soak up the sauce, yeah. Why am I going to get into trouble depending on which way I vote?
No, I'm just curious because I feel like that's like a thing in Asian communities where we use like noodle or rice as a way to like determine your personality.
People.
I guess it's kind of like a personality test. Like some people use zodiac signs, we use like rice and noodle.
I feel that's like on a dating app. You have to put their preference, rice or noodle, and if it's rice, you swipe one way. If it's noodle, you swipe the other way. The weird thing is because I'm quite a health nut, on and off. But I got used to the idea of eating brown rice because it's got a lot more fiber in it, and it's actually a lot healthier for you. The problem is, in Asian culture, you only do that if you're too poor to afford the white rice. So it'd be like this, so why are you eating the brown rice? It's for poor people. I'm like, yeah, but it's healthier. I say that's one thing that I have struggled with Asian culture sometimes is the whole status thing. You know, there's a lot of status attached to, for example, eating white rice versus brown, or, you know, having a certain car or going to a certain school. And it's like a humble brag, sometimes not so humble. It's a way to boast about your status. And even certain foods, like shark fin soup, which, you know, we can't get here anymore, thankfully, because it's brutal. But that was all about status. Like there was sparrow saliva stuff and snake soup. And it's all this stuff that it's not for the taste. It's literally for bragging rights. And that always struck me as a little bit odd. The other thing was Chinese are very superstitious. And I never understood that because Chinese are so intellectual and intelligent, yet they're also superstitious. I'm like, you know, because the number 4, right? The number 4, oh, that's death. We had a license plate on our car growing up that was 444. Oh. And I was like, and we just drove it around. It was fine. So I don't understand the superstition thing. Like here, it's like, oh, 888. That's an Asian driving that car, or 168, right? Yeah, and you know, number 4 is missing on all the. So those are two weird things. I've never understood the status thing, and then the superstition things. I don't know how you feel about either of those, because obviously you've grown up in both cultures. But those are two aspects I never really understood.
You know what? I think like when it comes to status thing, I would say like North American culture definitely has that too, because they use that's true. They use like cars and like what area they live in, what city they live in, or what clothes, what brands they have as a way to express their status as well. That's definitely a thing. Yeah. But I would say like maybe in Asia, there's that aspect of like they don't like to like very clearly like show off.
I call it vulgar. Yeah, my parents would call it "don't be vulgar."
Right. So in a way, like it's like, well, then if I can't verbally show you, then now I have to like use objects to show you. So maybe that's one aspect of it. So yeah, I would say that's probably why. And then what was the second part that you were talking about?
I've kept you on too long. You need to eat. I was talking about superstitions. Are you a superstitious person?
Yes. Okay, I would say like to some degree. I'm not like crazy
Okay.
about it because like I know some people are like unwilling to live on the fourth
Mm.
floor or something like that.
Yep.
I'm okay with it. Like I'm not crazy about it. Like I wouldn't
Seek it out.
the thought would the thought would cross my mind. I would think like, oh, four, that's not great.
Yeah.
But then like at the end of the day, it's not like a thing that would just make like help me decide anything, you know? Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna not do anything just because there's a four in it.
I mean, you'd probably get it for cheaper because everyone else wouldn't want it. So that's something
It's
to
true.
bear in mind. You get a good discount on all the apartments on the fourth floor because no one else wants to live there. But yeah, no, it's fascinating when you sort of have one foot in the Eastern world and another foot
Mm,
in the Western world. There's all these sort of internal clashes I feel within myself, and from what I've understood yourself as well. Sometimes you
yeah.
feel more pulled one way, sometimes you feel pulled the other way, and sometimes you're right in the middle. So
Yes.
it is a cool thing, I guess. A lot of advantages. So anyway, we need to get to the final 10 questions.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll keep you here for the rest of time. So just before we get to the final 10, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I would obviously want to shout out to my mom because she's, like I said, been a rock through this process. I definitely won't be able to finish this without her. And then, of course, I want to shout out to a lot of my sponsors. I'm not going to list them one by one. If anyone's curious, it's on my Instagram. I always want to
Cool.
shout out to them because honestly, in Taiwan, I know that pageantry isn't big, but I'm very thankful to all of my sponsors because they are believing in me and they're
Mm,
trying their best to help me, even though maybe they don't have a lot of resources themselves, but they are giving me what they could. And just, for Taiwan to at least be on stage on such a big international competition, I think that says a lot about the type of people they are. They are extremely helpful through this process, and I'm so grateful for them. So yeah, and in general, like I'm just grateful for Taiwan in general because I like being able to represent Taiwan is a whole nother meaning to me because I have
yeah.
competed in three different countries, but being able to compete in Taiwan and represent Taiwan is a totally different meaning because when I moved to Taiwan when I was 9, Taiwan entirely changed my life.
Mm.
And so yeah, I'm very grateful for what Taiwan has given me in terms of education and in terms of cultural identity. So I'm very grateful for that.
How's it going to feel when they announce you as Miss International Taiwan? They put, the sash on you. Is there going to be some tears cried?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I cried a lot when I was crowned as Miss Taiwan. I cried so much. So yeah.
Okay, well that's cool, and that's very touching as well. I think it's great when a country that doesn't have, and people who don't have a huge amount of resources, and a country where pageantry is
Yeah.
not massive. Let's be honest,
Yeah.
and it's almost like they're rolling the dice on you. They trust in you, and so it's
Yes.
like a vote of confidence in you, and that always it's almost more touching and means more versus when you come from a big pageant powerhouse and you're the title holder, they just have to give you the money by default, even if they don't like you, but
Right.
it sounds like it's more a personal vote of confidence in yourself,
Absolutely.
which
Absolutely.
which means a lot. So okay, before I start talking more about food, let's get through this final 10. So
Okay.
number one, what is your favorite word? And if you want to go Chinese, if you want to go English, that's your call. What is your favorite word?
Um, I'll do one in English and one in Chinese.
Okay.
I think in English my favorite word would be serendipity.
Mhm.
I love how it sounds. I love how it rolls off the tongue, and then also the meaning is very nice. It means like finding something fortunate when it's unplanned, right? So I love that. I love that idea. I would say in Chinese it would be because in Chinese we have like characters, so it's a bit different.
Yeah.
But I would say like maybe my favorite character that comes to mind would be An. So An means like well, it depends on what other characters you put it with, but in general,
Yep.
it kind of means like safety and peace and tranquility. That's kind of in general what it means.
Nice.
And
Yep.
I love it because if you look at the character, because Chinese comes from like pictograms, so if you look at the
Yeah.
character, it actually looks like a house with a girl in it, a woman. It actually has the word woman in it. So,
Ah, that's cool.
ancient Chinese people were feminists. I'm just saying.
That's very cool. You don't get that in English. Obviously, the alphabet's completely different.
Yeah.
I'm not good with written Chinese. I learnt 1, 2, and 3. No,
Well,
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I was so happy, like 1, 2,
oh,
3.
four
I was
four
like,
is pretty difficult. I'm proud of you.
4, I just remembered it kind of looks like a book with the corners cut off, and then 5 is like this 5-stroke thing, and then after that's all I got. Right? Okay. I'm bilingual, can't you tell? Okay, so number 2, what is your least favorite word? And again, take it whichever direction you want.
Least favorite word. Um, that's a difficult question because I feel like I don't really have a least favorite word. Maybe, I guess no. Maybe no. I don't know. Like I don't really think I have a strong sense of like I really don't like that word. I don't think so. In
Okay.
Chinese, let me think. Honestly, in Chinese, probably any character that has way too many strokes.
That's fair enough, but that's just because you don't like writing it, not because you don't like the way it sounds.
Oh, you're saying sounds?
No, I mean, I'm just being silly. You can have whatever you want. I will say more than a few people have answered no, and that's because they don't like being told no, which normally means they're quite overachievers and quite stubborn as well. So I won't read too much into that. That's like a zodiac thing, honestly. All right,
Yeah.
let's move on. Number 3 in life. What gets you excited, or what turns you on?
When other people that I'm talking to or interacting with has similar vibes. Like I can just really bounce off their energy. I absolutely love that. And honestly, that's why like I feel like talking to you has been so great cuz I feel like I don't know, talking to you is so easy and I can definitely have like we can definitely bounce off energy. So, it's been great.
Yes. Yes, I will forever remember the time that Oceana tried to sell me on red bean and how it's really, really good. That's going to stay ingrained in my mind. I thought for sure you were going to answer that question with food because we talked about it so much. Like, what turns you on?
Oh,
Food.
true.
I prefer your answer. Thank you for the compliment, and I feel the same way. Let's move on. Number 4. So that was number 3 was what turns you on. Number 4 is what turns you off.
I would say honestly the exact opposite of what I just said. So people that are constantly turning down things, like if I'm trying to bounce off ideas, I'm trying to give ideas to them, and then
Yeah.
everything is just no, I don't think so, I don't want to do that. I
Yeah.
don't really like people that are like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I say stay away from people like that, and especially if you have an idea or a goal when it's in its
Yeah.
infancy and it's quite delicate. Don't
Yeah.
announce it because all it takes is one person to say no to crush that dream.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. Number 5, what sound do you love?
I love the sound of rain. And I actually listen to rain every night when I go to sleep. Like I play the rain recordings.
I have a white noise machine, and I
Yeah.
actually play a very similar sound to rain. I find it very soothing.
Oh.
Number 6, what sound do you hate?
Knocking. I hate knocking sound. I know it's so random, right?
You mean on your door?
Just any knocking sound, like on my door, on the walls, on like the table, just any or any sound that kind of is similar to knocking, it also drives me crazy.
So when someone comes to your door and knocks on it, that just gets you greatly annoyed, or you don't
Yeah.
answer the door?
I mean, I would still answer the door, but yeah, I do kind of get annoyed. At least, like, okay, if you're knocking like once or twice, I mean, how else are you going to get my attention through a door? But like, but like if you're just constantly knocking, or like if there's like some other sound that is just like constantly like knocking on something, that kind of drives me crazy.
Okay. All right. Number 7, if you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
Okay. Honestly, this is probably very common, but teleportation. Because, I mean, why not? It's like probably the best power ever, because it saves so much time. Like you can do so many things in such little time. Just teleport. If I'm late to work, who cares? I'll be there in 1 minute.
I would say I would take that, coming from Australia, where it takes 5,000 years to get anywhere. Teleportation would be high on my list, and I could avoid all the airport queues and clearing customs and all that nonsense. I could go and get food wherever I wanted.
I was about to say that.
I have noodles I have braised noodles on my mind right now as we speak, and it's terrible when you're on a keto diet. You can't have noodles. Anyway, number 8, what job would you like to attempt?
I would probably want to be like some type of investigator. Like maybe like a private investigator or something like that. Like it's kind of like, collecting tea on someone. I would love to do that. Like that sounds very interesting.
So you're nosy is what you're saying.
Well, you don't have to put it like that, but sure.
You just said you want to get paid for sticking your nose in other people's business. But that's when you said investigator, I thought you were going to be like crime scene investigator, because weirdest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, here's the thing, and I know what you're about to say, because I did watch a clip, like I think I did watch a couple of minutes of you interviewing Selena, and so I know what you're about to say, and it is 100% true, because I love listening to crime podcasts.
Another one. What is it with you pageant girls and your fascination with murder? I really I'd like to be a crime scene investigator and investigate Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm like, why? And then like, I don't understand it, because I want to be a crime scene investigator, and then what really turns you off? I wouldn't want to deal with blood. I'm like, you realize there's probably some common intersection there. I don't understand why you girls are so fascinated with criminals. It's slightly scary.
I have heard a hypothesis about this. I don't know if it's true yet, but I have heard a hypothesis about this. And they say like women in general who like to listen to like murder or crime, a big aspect of it is like just knowing what could happen. Like, because like now I'm like so much more careful like on the street. Like I have like another level of awareness when I'm like alone walking around at night, or like even on the subway. Like I'm just like so much more aware of my surroundings now. So like I don't know, and an aspect of it is just like knowing what could possibly happen, and like having that sense of like, okay, now I know and I could avoid it or something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, no, there's a valid psychological, it's not even a hypothesis, it's probably stronger than that a lot of people in general are fascinated with dangerous people, powerful, dangerous people. And so it's not just men, but particularly women are interested in criminals, vampires, pirates, billionaires. You remember 50 Shades of Grey, Twilight? Yeah. It's all these, it's all these very dangerous, uncontrollable men. And I just look at that, go, whatever. I just think it's funny that you guys are interested in, people who stab the knife into people's back. Like, I just think that's slightly ironic. But yes, thank you for watching that interview, by the way. Another one. I don't know how many of you guys are out there. Anyway, number 9, what job would you definitely not like to attempt?
You know what? On the exact opposite spectrum, I would not want to work in a morgue.
What? This makes no sense now. Oh my God.
I would not want to work, because You know how like okay, I don't want to like get
No, I
too into
don't. I
this.
haven't been in a morgue, so no, I don't know. Oh my God.
So like sometimes like they would the bodies would like move or like twitch or like moan even or groan
Yep.
like
Yep.
I would not want to like I don't know in the middle of the night. I don't know if they work at night. They probably work in broad daylight, but I in my mind like my in my head I would picture them working in the middle of the night and like just like I don't know working on someone, and then a body on the other side is just like that would scare me like to no end. I would run out of there.
Oh, so just an unrelated question, but how good are you with scary movies then?
Okay, the thing is like I actually kind of like scary movies sometimes if like the jump scare isn't like too dumb. Like sometimes the jump
Okay.
scares like
Yeah, yeah.
okay, whatever. But yeah, sometimes I actually do like scary movies.
Okay. You are a woman of many contradictions. Let's just
I
put it
know,
that
right?
way. I'm very confused right now. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You know what? I kind of don't want to hear him say anything. Not because I'm afraid like he would like say something that's, you know, bad about me, how I did things or whatever. It's kind of just like I feel like if, you know, when I'm at the end of my life, I just want to like I don't want outside validation on anything. I just
Yeah.
want to be um I just want to be accepting of my own life for how it was and however way I did it, because I think, you know, life is hard and it
Mm.
throws you many
Mhm.
curveballs, and I feel like, you know, I just try to do my best, and there are so many outcomes for how your life could play out. You know, it's kind of like the butterfly effect. You know, there's so many
Yeah.
outcomes, and so you can't possibly expect someone to tell you, "Oh, you did your best" or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of want to be happy with however way I did it myself, and I'll
Yeah.
be happy with that. Yeah.
I mean, making mistakes is part of the human condition, isn't it?
Yes.
We're all just doing the best that we can.
Absolutely.
Well, Oceana, I think congratulations are in order. I think you are the singularly longest interview I've ever done. Um, we're closing in on 2 hours, and I think a good deal of that was food. But thank you so much for coming on. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It certainly didn't feel
I
like a long time.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
best of luck representing your country over in Japan. It certainly sounds like you've got a good tight knit team behind you, and then it's going to mean a lot to you to be wearing the name Taiwan over your
Yes.
chest, which is the way it
Yes.
should be.
Yes.
So I'll keep you on the line for just a sec whilst I hang up with the audience. But thanks
Yes.
everyone for watching, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.